Oh, speaking of getting out of jail, Scorpios.
Get that love lockdown.
Get that love
lockdown for that Scorpio party, baby. Scorpio party. Ski bunny. Let's get it.
That's what it's all about. Are you ready to face it?
Face it, embrace it. Embrace the darkness.
Well, okay. Little Vampires deck then.
Let's do it. Let's do the vampire.
Scorpios in their biggest emotional transit in a long time.
Sure.
With relationship squares.
Oh, perfect.
Woo! It's getting a little hot and sweaty.
And I'm feeling
See what that, or it's getting really cold and icy and empty. Well, you pulled the Nine of Swords. At least she's hot and got blood and a moon in the background, but that is a card of dealing with anxiety and also kind of a nightmare. We are dealing with the Ten of Swords in reversed is the challenge. Ooh. Well, you did pull the Page of Cups as your overall. How do we get through this Ten of Swords reversed? The Temperance card reversed. Well, I mean, Nine of Swords is just kind of waking up to, you know, the realization of something. Maybe something that you don't like. Maybe somebody's going to, you know, maybe there's a partner who's told you something that you didn't want to hear. Or maybe you're realizing that, you know, you're waking up to something that you just realized and you're like, I can't believe I've done this, or I can't believe I've been this way. Somebody's doing something, and whether it's you or whether it's another person, that it's like, man, I feel like fuck. Maybe, or it's the opposite. It's like really bad. Like, oh shit, I need to pay attention. Like, what the fuck am I doing here? How am I in this? But I would say that this would be a lot dealing with yourself. You pulled your challenge card as the Ten of Swords reversed. Could be with somebody else too, but it's like there's this pattern that just continues to, that you think is over, but it's not. So it's like continuing to have the nightmare about the same pattern, about the same person or the same thing in relationships. And here we go. We got the Page of Cups as your overall. It's like, go lead with your emotion again. Go out and like try and find the positive emotional place to go, the light and the more fun and the more easy. That's way opposite of this more kind of nightmarish energy. But you pulled the Temperance reversed as the way to get through this. I think for you, it's like, I think that, you know, your pattern that's hard to stop is the unnatural situations by you trying to not let, when things are naturally working, it's like, no, I don't want them to naturally work. I want them to work this way. So anytime it starts to naturally flow, there's this stop. And I think that that's what's to pay attention to this week. So when things start going naturally in a good direction, it's almost like, no, I want to stop it and I want to do it this way and I want to come up with this thing and I want to do that. And that's the nightmare scenario, right? Is stopping the natural flow of things, the natural easygoing way. And doing that same pattern over and over again. That Nine of Swords came up with the Five of Wands reversed, not wanting to try hard enough. So either somebody's not wanting to try, or you're not wanting to try hard enough, or wanting to put this good sport or good effort in, or feeling like it's too complicated. But a nightmare that's something that's not complicated, it's almost like you want things to be more complicated, or you want somebody to kind of, you know, push you a little bit and be like, hey. Because it'd be kind of boring. I mean, I know Scorpio likes intensity, right? So if you don't get that intensity, Scorpio, it's like, well, fuck. And that's a nightmare scenario, not being with something intense. But are you allowing intensity to happen? That's a big question. Page of Cups pulled up, which is a great card, and you pulled that one with the High Priestess. So I think that you're being guided toward where the real energy is emotionally for you to go, and I think that you just need to make that message known. You got to let it out. You got to let out what you're feeling in your gut. You got to let out what your intuition is, because I got a feeling the only way out of some of the situations that you're in right now is whether you got to make the call, whether you got to let somebody know. You're the one though. You have to follow your guides. Although you might be getting a message from somebody too of a good offer for love. But are you going to do the same scenarios? You got to check in with your gut and be like, would I do the same scenario? If it feels like, oh, this is how I usually am in relationships, or you might have to learn to overcome that. But this is you overcoming a lot of your relationship scenario situations and so forth, from the astrology to this tarot reading and so forth. What did we get as your overall here? You pulled the Taurus card. I have. Yeah, I mean, this is your relationship house, and we are seeing big squares to that, but this is you having what you really want in your life, but you got to be willing to own it. You got to be willing to have it. You got to be willing to put the work in. You got to know the value of it too. So when you see the value of something, you better not let it get away. I mean, it reminds me of the song Desperado. I mean, do you want to be a desperado your whole life? It's like, do you always pull the queen of, diamonds when really you should be pulling the queen of hearts? So when the queen of hearts shows up, you always go, no, I want the queen of diamonds, and then they, it doesn't work out. Oh, why did you get the Taurus card here? Why
I'll work out. It's
knowledge. I think that you have an unwritten story here, and I think that you don't like to finish the book, and it's time to, if you're going to own this, you got to own a story, and you got to stay with that book, and you got to write the book through instead of throwing the book out or ripping the page out and starting another one. I think that that's kind of the pattern that's going on here. It's time to own the story and stay in the story and put the words on the page. For some Scorpios too, this could also be like, are you sure that this is the story that you want if you're in a relationship right now? Like, is this really the story that you want? Is this really gaining you any knowledge, or is this really a nightmare story? Or is the nightmare story of you always being like kind of like a weird exorcist, like ripping the pages out and like start fucking blah, 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 when you call the exorcist out? Your shadow card is the Bride in a Cage. Yep, I would say that that goes exactly what I was just saying. Is I think that you're holding yourself from the real love stories in your life due to patterns, and when it goes natural, you try to make it unnatural. You try to take control. It's a nightmare scenario, or that's what you feel that you keep getting coming towards your way, but really I would look more deeper into the patterns of that. Go make the offering to pull yourself out of the cage, own a story, and stick to it and see what happens, and then fully go into it, fully own it. Fully owning it is a big deal. First house, Gemini, Neptune. So I would say that, I think a lot of it is like, I think the delusion of that you need to figure out what you want. You know exactly what you want. It's not a delusion. Go make that dream happen. Stop fucking playing around and act like you don't know. Then you need to figure it out. You know exactly what you want. So why are you wasting your time with things that you don't really want?
Was that the dice?
That was the dice.
Oh, I missed it. Are you missing out on love, Scorpio? Are you suppressing your emotions? Are you not being open and honest with yourself? These are situations that tend to arise. Maybe you're overlooking these opportunities, or maybe some things just aren't fitting perfectly. But what is fitting perfectly? Because there are going to be certain aspects about relationships, about yourself, that are fitting perfectly. So maybe it's the time that you focus on that and build on that, build on the power and build on the strength. And that's where it's going to come down to. Then you can implement the freak show. Then you can implement the love. But you got to find it first. You got to find it within inside yourself and allow yourself to express it fully, without that suppression, without that fear, and with the full acknowledgement of the power that you are. You got that force within you. Come on, Scorp. Let's go hit that party. Yes, Ski Bunny, full force.